All right, guys. So I spent the last little while working on putting the system together behind me back here, you guys. This one. And we're going to check out the video that I put together of me doing that. I'm going to explain things as we go along here. So let's get started. Now you can see me doing the layout on the amplifiers. I've got a 1500 watt Hyanka, a 4-channel Slapz, and a B2 DSP that I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to have laid out and how I'm going to put it together. Because you want to mount this on something. You could do it as a rack system. You could do a lot of different things. But I wanted to display mine, so I have it set up as a display. Basically kind of an amp rack like you'd build in a car. And what I did was plotted all of the locations of everything. And now I'm wanting to build some risers to get it up off the deck a little bit. I wanted to leave room behind everything so that I could come in there, and put lighting in behind it and run the wires behind it and all that sort of stuff. And I mean, it helps with cooling, but I'm not going to put this system through anything that's going to require any extra cooling. I mean, I've got an air conditioner blowing across this room, and the thing's never that loud in here. Well, not very often anyway. So what are the things that you need to do to build this kind of a setup? Well, one, you're going to need the equipment. You could use a regular 4-channel amplifier with I would want one that has at least a Bluetooth connection to enable you to Bluetooth straight to the system. That'd make it the most convenient in a house. But if you're just going to do something like I have, where I have it hooked up to my computer, you don't need a Bluetooth connection, but you will need a way to connect the amplifier to the computer. So what I was using, of course, is that B2 DSP. It has a Bluetooth connection, so I can Bluetooth straight to it with my phone. I could also play it off my computer with the aux cable that converts to a line. Oh yeah, this part right here, we're testing the lighting out. So I've got the amp mounting location figured out, and I'm just figuring out how I'm going to have it lit. The RGB. I'm using some recycled stuff from old builds and just making it look cool. But having that the B2 audio DSP makes a lot of things a lot easier, because it makes it easy to tune everything when you get done. So I went with the little light strip. It was from some little kit that I got for something at some point in time, and I tore out of a build, and I just hang on to that kind of stuff because you can repurpose the individual lights as long as you have a controller. Or in my case, I'm just going to hook it up just with 2 wires to make the blue show, and everything else is just going to sit there and not do anything. And being as it's flexible and pretty thin, it can fit in some tight spots. Now here I'm just going through some different wiring options, trying to figure out how I'm going to power everything. And I chose to use black wire here, and it all makes sense though. So I'm using black positive and ground for the little 4-channel amplifier. Now I just got to get over here and cut the wire. I have the wires cut to length. Now I just got to get over here and put some lugs on them. And I'm actually using way oversized lugs. So this crimper, this Timco crimper, it's by far the coolest crimper I've ever used, and I've got a bunch of them. But it just enables you to do so much. And I'm fighting with it because that countertop is slick, and some things sliding around really bad. I ended up having to get a towel and put it over there. Once I laid that towel on the countertop, it added just enough friction to make this thing work brilliantly there. But I was fighting with it. It was kicking my butt. There we go. That sorted it right out. That's all it took, just laying that towel down there. Just enough friction to make everything stable. Yeah, we made those work. They're not perfect. We made them work though, and they end up looking pretty dang good and being very strong, solid connections. I had to figure out, like I said, I took my time with the wiring, so I wanted everything a certain way, and I recommend that. Think about what each wire is going to run and how it's going to lay. That way you can cut it to length and make it match up with the stuff you're trying to do, and everything stays nice and neat and tidy. And whenever you're keeping it neat and tidy, that also means you're paying attention to the connections. You know, your connections aren't going to be all stupid, um, and they're not going to be loose. They're not going to be, misconnected or anything. And when you're paying attention to stuff, that means that you're looking at it, you're putting your hands on it, so it's going to be right, and it's also going to look good in the end. And it isn't all about just functionality. You want it to look nice. So working with these, yeah, that's some heavy cable. I got way. I mean, I don't need anywhere near the amount of power that I have on that board, and I've overbuilt it in every way. In every way, it's overbuilt. It's built to be able to get out there and throw down. Now this is 9-wire that I'm running. This is one of the reasons I chose to use the black cablings, because this 9-wire enables me to hook up the DSP, all of the connections, in one cable, and it matches the 8 gauge that I've got run, or the 4 gauge rather, that I've got run to that little tiny amp, a little Slapz audio amp, and it looks like it belongs there. And that was the objective. I was like, well, I'm gonna make everything match. Now that one big old humongous jumper that I have going to the switch is so dumb. It can be replaced with a tiny wire. I mean, that's literally just turning on the amps. That's all that's for, and powering the LEDs. I had to have the switch on there just so I could turn everything on and off with the switch. But yeah, it is massive. Completely overkill, but I had it, so I used it. Okay, now we're getting started on hooking the amplifier up to the batteries. So I got to build a little connection system for the batteries to hook them both together. Those are two Northstar 80 AGMs that are like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old. I mean, I don't even run AGMs in my Tahoe anymore, but they work fine for this purpose. No more power that I'm asking from them at one time. I mean, I'm probably never going to be pulling more than 1,000 watts, and that's if I'm doing something stupid in here, which I normally don't do. Most of the time I'm pulling probably less than 50 watts off the whole system if I'm using it, because it's just computer speakers. That's all I'm using it for, is to listen to music and hear the audio of videos and stuff. So it doesn't require a whole lot of power. I can output enough to power that amplifier rack at full tilt if I want to, but the charging system that I'm using doesn't allow for that on a continuous basis. So right now I've only got a little tiny 1.5 amp charger. It's kind of like a I don't know what's it called, the battery maintainers, little they use for motorcycles and lawnmowers and stuff like that. I can't think what it's called. It's a cheap version of one of those, and the reason I'm using that is because, see, everything looks pretty good, doesn't it? It's because most of the time I'm not using the amplifier at all. So whenever I do use it, I'm not using very much power out of it, and so the battery has enough storage to accommodate for that without having a big power supply on it. And that 1.5 amps is plenty to put the power back in during the times that I'm not actually using the system at all. There's nothing playing through it. Like right now, there's nothing playing through that amplifier, so it's just sitting over there charging because there's no load. But that doesn't mean that. Well, that means that I have to give it time between sessions. If you're going to be playing it more constantly, you might even want to pull the batteries completely out of the system and just run like a computer power supply or an amp power supply, something that's going to give you, 50, 20 to 50 amps at least. And that you couldn't run that 1500 watt amplifier, but you could run that little 4-channel, and that 4-channel by itself would easily power this entire system that I've got hooked up. No problem. It would more than power it. So yeah, there's me. Get a double. I forgot what I was talking about. So yeah, you don't need a 1500 watt amplifier. A single 4-channel that has something where you can bridge 2 channels and just run 2 and then a bridge 2 to your sub would be totally fine. I'm going to end up having 4 channels in here though, and a subwoofer. I just have 2 right now. I just got done with the build today, and I got that video uploaded from it. It's a full video. What you guys are seeing right now is accumulation of the 3 videos for this build series. So if you're interested in seeing all the details of all these videos, just look in the playlist for them. They're all going to be there. I'm going to create a playlist specifically for this, but I wanted to have a single video that I could point you guys to. Here I'm showing the different DSP functions that I'm using to set everything up. Crossover for the mids and highs, and then the next one is a crossover for the subwoofer, and then I show them both together, which shows you the summing at the middle. This little B2 DSP is hot, dude. It's $160. If you use my discount code at Big Jeff or at B2 Audio USA, use my discount code CAE, and it'll save you money on that purchase. That thing is awesome. It works for both those 2 sites. Right here I have my EQ flat. I've actually got it tuned a little bit more now. I love how that shows the voltage down at the bottom. That's so cool. So you can see my little crappy battery charger. I'll show it here in a second. I think I spent $8 on that little battery charger on Amazon. Cheap. But I've been using, I bought 2 of them at the same time, and I've been using one on my Tahoe to maintain the batteries in my Tahoe. And it's been working fabulously. So I intended to use it on this project for at least a while until I come across something that's a little better maybe. I'd like it to be able to continuously charge 10 amps and then also vary that down to a much lower amperage depending on what I'm trying to do. But the key to having a good charging system is varying the voltage. So you don't want your charger trying to maintain your voltage. Like if you run a lead acid battery that sets at 12.75, for example, you don't want your charger sitting there holding it at 14.5 volts, because that'll burn that battery up over time. It won't do it immediately, but it will dramatically shorten the lifespan of it. What you want is for it to be able to charge a higher voltage when it needs to, but then to be able to drop down to like 13 volts or a little over 13 volts whenever the battery's full. And as long as it does that, then it's going to be fine. It can sit there and do that indefinitely. You don't want it to try to charge like a constantly, hold it at much higher than what it's supposed to be. That's bad for the battery. Oh yeah, I'm doing my time alignment here. So for the 2 drivers, the left and right channels, 63 inches and 35 inches. And if you subtract one from the other, you get 28. So you do 28 and 0, and then you're good on time alignment. That's a really cool trick. I should do a video talking about that. Um, I was showing this RTA. This RTA that I'm showing is just a connection to my browser. You'll see it. It's a connection to my browser, and it just shows the incoming signal RTA, not what the room is hearing. It's just what's going into the amplifier, into the DSP. But I found it kind of cool, so I'm showing it to you guys. Um, and we're going to have a little demo here at the end. You'll hear what it sounds like. Um, yeah, I don't remember where it's coming up though, I think. Anyway, that's a good track. But again, all of this stuff, all of these videos in their entirety are going to be available. They're all available right now if you want to go watch them and check it out and see how this all comes together. I think it turned out pretty damn good. I'm happy with it. But get your power supply, whatever you're using, sorted out. You want your voltage to be at least a little bit higher than what your battery rests at. And take your time making it neat. You could build it into a rack. I mean, you could put it all on a board and then put it in a shelf. You could stick it to the wall like I did. There's any number of ways you can handle that. So hopefully you'll figure out one that works good for you. And of course, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer those questions. And God, that guy is so much younger than I am. Man, what happened to me? I fell apart since that. I have gone downhill, baby. Oh, you gotta respect that young guy doing a young guy thing. Uh, so, like I said, guys, if you're interested in doing something like this for yourself, this video, of course, is giving you pointers all the way through. But there'll be a lot of questions. If you haven't done any car audio stuff in the past, then it's going to be a lot more questions. But if you've already done a couple of car audio installs and you pretty much know all that stuff, the things you're going to want to know is more about charging the batteries. And that's not complicated. You could use, for a very small amplifier, you could use a little, computer power supply. Um, there's ways to do that. You could use a PlayStation power supply or something like that. You can use a whole lot of things. So it doesn't require a big, huge amount of power. And also, if you're using inexpensive car audio speakers, they're not going to be rated for a whole lot of power anyway. And so it doesn't take a lot of power to get them to moving and get them pretty loud. So have fun with this. And, essentially all you're doing is hooking up a battery and putting a charger on it. Now, you do want to keep in mind that Lead acid batteries off gas if they get charged. If they get really charged up, they actually will boil inside there. And as that's happening, gases come out. Those vented lead acid batteries will do that on a constant basis. You don't want that inside your house. But I'm using a sealed AGM battery, and I'm not putting very much of a charge on it or taking very much power out at any time. So with that low amount of power, low amount of charge, and the fact that it's a sealed battery, not a vented battery, means that I'm pretty safe to have it in here. But keep in mind that that is a thing. Having batteries inside can be dangerous, so always be mindful of that. Also, if you've got exposed battery terminals in your space, be mindful that something could fall across there and short those terminals out and cause big sparks. So you want to be mindful of that too. You might want to put your batteries inside of a box and cover them up. Something like an old work cooler or something like that. We have a pretty good, quick, easy way to seal them up. A cooler is a good choice. I mean, you probably got an old busted cooler in the garage that maybe leaks and you don't use it no more. But the battery's in there. It's going to protect them and do all the stuff. You repurpose the old stuff, Anyway, guys, if you haven't done it already, be sure and slam that subscribe button down below, because there's crazy things coming out of this camp on a constant basis. And if you're shopping anywhere, Slapz Audio, if you're shopping at B2, you're shopping at Big Jeff, if you're shopping at customspeakerpods.com, any of these places, use discount code CAE and save 10% off your purchase at most of those places. If you want Trunked Under Lithium, the code is slightly different. It's CAE10. That saves you 10% over there to get the good lithium batteries where you don't have to worry about off-gassing and stuff. So there you go. Y'all have a wonderful day.